Now that we've gone through all the details of how to prepare for college and different types of financial aid and the eligibility requirements for federal financial aid, let's talk about how you actually go about applying for financial aid. Well, first, there is this thing called a FAFSA form that we keep talking about. And what the heck does FAFSA stand for? Well, it's the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And that is the magic form that you need to fill out in order to apply for the federal student aid that we've been talking about, like the federal grants and scholarships, and even the work study programs and the federal loans. So you'll need to fill out this form, and you can do that by going to fafsa.gov. And filling the form out is free. There are lots of resources to help you fill out the form. But just like we talked about with forecasting your financial aid, you're going to need some information from your parents' tax returns. And just like we talked about in the eligibility requirements, you're going to need your financial aid, your social security number, because remember we said that's a requirement. So that's going to go on the form. But filling out this form is going to give you access to the largest source of financial aid available to pay for college or career school. So in many states also, and Alabama is one of them, the state itself is going to require you to fill out the FAFSA form in order to be eligible for state aid. So it's kind of the keys to the kingdom when it comes to financial aid. So why should you fill it out? Some people, students in particular, think that if their family is very wealthy, or they're thinking they're going to get a full scholarship athletically or academically or some other merit reason, that they don't need to fill out the form. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't hurt. You never know what you might be missing out on, and it's free. So why wouldn't you just go ahead and fill out the form? And the bottom line is anybody who wants to go to college should fill out the FAFSA form. And you may be right. You may fill it out and you may not be eligible for aid, or at least not the aid that you thought you would be eligible for. But still, you should fill it out. So I'm going to write that in really big letters. The next question then, once I've convinced you that you need to fill out the FAFSA form, then the next question is when. So the form usually becomes available October 1st. And so you won't be going to college until 2020. So you don't need to fill out the form until October 1st of 2019. And you don't have to fill it out on the day it's available, but that is the first day that it's available. So you have from October 1st until June 30th. But I wouldn't recommend waiting all the way until June. And also, you may want to check with other programs that use the FAFSA to determine your eligibility, like for state aid, because they may have a deadline that's much earlier than June 30th. And don't forget, you can go to the FAFSA forecaster if you want to get an estimate. So, because what happens if you go to the FAFSA forecaster that we talked about earlier, you're not actually filling out the form, but you get an idea of what type of aid you would be eligible for. So if you're one of the ones who says, hey, it's not worth it to fill it all out, then go to the FAFSA forecaster and at least get a better idea. So that will give you an estimate of your aid. It won't be exact, but the more precise the information you put in, the more precise the estimate it will give you. You know the old term in computers, garbage in, garbage out. So put good information in the forecaster and it can give you a pretty good estimate of what you'd be eligible for. So how do you fill it out? You ideally fill it out online. We talked about the website already, fafsa.gov, but if you're not an online person, if you would prefer pen and paper, then you can download a form, but if you don't have access to a printer, then you can order a printed copy and they can send it to you. So no excuse for not filling out your FAFSA. So then what happens next? So you fill out the form, you get it done on time, maybe a little bit early. What happens next? Well, once they've had a chance to process it, then they're going to send you a document called, sometimes it's abbreviated, the EFC, and that is your expected family contribution. And actually, sometimes when you fill out the FAFSA online, they will give you kind of an estimated EFC. But what the EFC is how much you and your family are expected to contribute to your college education after the grants and other federal aid has kicked in. But that is basically the process for applying for financial aid. First and foremost, you fill out your FAFSA form, you get it done on time, and that will open up the doors to federal aid and state and other types of aid. So you want to find out what you're eligible for on the federal level first, and then keep drilling down until you get all of your financial need covered.